Hey gang, I'm back with another couple of videos on movies that came out in 1973, which was 40 years ago, and since I turned 40 this year, obviously was born that year. So I'm going back and looking at a lot of those films, some of which I've seen, most of which I haven't. The latest movie that I checked out, well, I was actually going to review Save the Tiger. That's the one that I wanted to do, but I couldn't find it anywhere, so I decided to get another. It was the movie that Jack Nicholson, I believe, won Best Actor for at the Oscars. But I couldn't find it, so I decided to get another 1973 movie that was an Oscar winner, which is Live and Let Die. James Bond movie starring Roger Moore. Yes, that's right, Roger Moore as James Bond. Investigating some nefarious goings-on in Louisiana. It's a funny coincidence I'm talking about this because I also just did a video on two Mickey Rourke movies which are set in Louisiana. I don't know, I think this is one of the first, if not the first, Roger Moore Bond movie. It's possible. Diamonds Are Forever was also directed by the same guy, and that's Guy Hamilton. The Guy Hamilton. He directed Goldfinger, as well as Diamonds Are Forever, Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun. So since Diamonds Are Forever is a Connery film, I'm concluding that this 1973 film was the first of the Roger Moore Bond movies. And he continued to make Bond movies until '85, I think, with View to a Kill, with Christopher Walken as the villain. In this movie, Live and Let Die, the villain is Yaphet Kotto, who is a heroin smuggler. And he wants to basically flood the U.S. market with free high-grade heroin so that everyone will be dissatisfied with the heroin they normally get and would be willing to pay exorbitant prices for whatever he provides them after that. I'm not too keen on that particular strategy. I'm not sure that it would work. But the upshot of this is that Bond is basically looking for whoever is responsible for the killing of an agent in the beginning of the film. And he ends up going to New York City and then traveling down to Louisiana. And what the film becomes for me is a series of incidents in which Bond accidentally falls into the clutches of the bad guys, who then set him up to die in elaborate Dr. Evil style. And then he escapes, only to be caught again a little bit later on. This happens 3 times at least during the movie, and it got pretty annoying after a while. I haven't really read up on anybody who thinks this movie is racist, but I certainly wouldn't blame them if they think so, because aside from a guy who drives a boat and another good guy agent who gets killed, every single black character in this whole movie is either evil or working for someone who is evil. Bond goes to New York City, gets in a cab, and he's driving through the streets and going to Harlem to rendezvous with someone and get some information, and practically every single black person standing along the street is on the radio saying, he's coming, he's on the way. And then as soon as Bond leaves the cab driver is also black, gets on his radio, he says, he's on his way in right now. I'm just like, wait a minute. Every single black person in New York City is in on this conspiracy to working for Yaphet Kotto? I don't think so, you know. Anyway, there's a couple good moments in the movie. There's a really long boat chase that's pretty cool. They hop in and out of boats in the swamps of Louisiana and drive them, you know, down rivers and creeks and then occasionally over land. And there's also sort of a hick sheriff type who shows up in another Bond movie later on. So this is like the first appearance of his character. But I really was not impressed very much by Roger Moore in this movie. And I guess this movie made some money, which is why they kept him on for several more. He really doesn't seem to be doing all that much. You know, he is basically reacting to everything and squeezing his way out of bad situations, but for the most part, he doesn't seem to be even there. I barely even remember most of the stuff that he says during the movie. You know, he sleeps with this girl, you know, in the first part, and he winds up with Jane Seymour in the end. Jane Seymour, young Jane Seymour, was gorgeous, by the way. But he always seems to just be falling in bad situations and then getting out by the skin of his teeth without really doing a whole lot. He sort of like accidentally stumbles across conspiracies and criminal behavior and what have you. Probably the best scene in the movie is one where he's stranded on a rock in the middle of a pond. He's surrounded by alligators and crocodiles. And I was actually a little tense, thinking, how the heck is he going to get out of this one? This is a little crazy. He doesn't have, there's nothing around for him to use, really, to escape. But of course, the bad guys, they strand him on the rock, but then they go away. They leave him there to, like, die and not watch it happen. But of course, he's able to escape because he's James Bond. He always does. So yeah, pretty bad movie, pretty lousy movie. Definitely a low point in the series that I'm doing right now in 1973 films. Of course, this movie is an Oscar winner. As I said, Paul McCartney co-wrote the song Live and Let Die, which won the Oscar. And I gotta say, I like the song, but I'm a lot more familiar with the Guns N' Roses version from the early 90s. It was on the Use Your Illusion album. You know, I mean, that one I heard a whole bunch of times when it came out. It was on MTV all the time. And so that's kind of the Live and Let Die I know, despite the fact that the original came out the year I was born. But I wasn't listening to the radio then. What do you want me to do? Anyway, I'm going to have a couple more 1973 reviews this week and a couple more next week to kind of make up for the time I've lost because I haven't done it in a little while. So if you've seen too much of me today, I apologize. Thanks for watching. See you later.